Today I'm with Liam Galvin. He's doing a day with me in Selly Oak. We're on the way to Greg's. There's a queue.
But it's going to be good.
Well, it's going to be good. I'm going to get myself some hot chocolate and cookies.
Yeah. Is that what you'd
On
advise?
him, of course. He's paying.
Of course, I'm paying. Is that your advice to stay fit to get this kind of food?
Well,
There you go.
fast metabolism.
So I'm here with Darren Gee, who most people will know. Obviously, a lot of his story has been covered quite extensively, so I want to ask him some sort of different questions. What advice would you give to yourself if you were looking back at, say, this 7-year-old you, and you could tell him something? What would you tell him?
Don't lose your identity. Well, that's one of the biggest problems that most of us go through when we're younger. We lose our identity. We don't agree with our dads or our mums. We start distancing ourselves from their morals, the way they believe, what they believe in. A few years of that you're lost. You've lost your identity. You're searching for a new identity, and it's normally the group at the end of the street or a certain type of culture or way of thinking. That's normally your new identity. Once you get into that way of behaving, that behaviour pattern, it's very hard to break again. So the best advice I can give to any young kid who's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, don't lose your identity. Remember who you are. Remember where you came from. Remember the way you're thinking, the way your mum thinks, the way your dad thinks. Always have that in your chest. Don't ever lose it, and you'll be alright. Always remember who you are. You can't love yourself if you don't know who you are. So basically, don't lose your identity.
So you lived on an estate. Is it about survival on that estate? Can you have ambitions to do things?
Everyone's got ambitions to do things on the estate at an early age. You see it. We're all up in the morning. We're all going to school. We all attend school regular. But then you lose it because the environment that's starting to develop around you. When you're young, you're in the house, you're going to school, you're getting back, you're in the house. It's a certain environment, certain discipline, certain way of thinking and believing. At a certain age you start exiting the junior school, going into senior school and participating in group activity on the street a little bit more. And that's the dangerous part of your life. Boss, that rain, innit?
That rain is really coming down.
It's boss of the night.
Yeah. Well, what did you feel about your dad at the time?
Always hated him. I've always hated my dad. Got nothing for him. When I was old enough to do so, I shattered his jaw. So you know that's how it is. Never liked my dad. Never shed a tear when he died. Never shed a tear when strangers wouldn't let me go to his funeral. So it is what it is. He was a nasty man. Tied us to the bed. Me and Danny. None of the other brothers really suffered. Me and Danny used to tie us to the bed, not feed us, bruise us up on a regular. No, just all that mad stuff.
Did you ever, in your childhood, have any kind of joy? Do you look back at a point and say, God, you know, we had a great Christmas, or we went on a holiday, or anything like that?
No. I mean, we used to look forward to Christmas, but it'd be like one of them. Never really got fuck all, so it was just one of them, you know. There was nothing to look forward to in our house except a beating. And the only reason you were looking forward to that beating is so you could fake that you was asleep, so you wouldn't get a beating.
Were you scared at that time?
You're scared of when your dad's coming in, but then you conquer them fears, don't you? Before you know it, you're standing up to your dad. It's just the same with the system. When they first dragged me and Danny away into the care system, scared, but then you start fighting back and you conquer all them fears, and that develops your character. And when you go into them situations continuously, like a rehearsal, blam, 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 that fear doesn't bother you at all. You tolerate to go through, you know, the things you see. So, for example, you see someone get the jaw snapped, you're like, wow. See you next time, it doesn't make a difference. You see someone's face get slashed, you're like, whoa. You see it again, it doesn't make a difference. It's just, you know, it is how it is. It's how we develop as humans, it's how we move on.
So what's that moment like when suddenly you're alone in the care system and your brothers have gone? Because I mean, you've lost even that support, haven't you?
Well, I had Danny. So when we first being dragged away, the initial fear was our mum. Where's my mum? Why are we getting dragged away from our mum? You know, stuff like that. And then when you're in the car and you've got these men manhandling you, you're only trying to like get your mum, but they're body shotting you, twisting you up, drag you into this Dyson hall, in through the side door because they're saying you're being aggressive. So they're not walking you out. Don't forget, we're only kids, 13, 14. They're not walking you out, they're carrying you out. Danny's restrained, zip ties. So we get in there, we're just thrown in this room about 3 of these, 8 beds in, and that's it, we're just left. After an hour or two, we're getting frustrated, wanting our mother, wanting answers, not getting told nothing. Got no blankets, got no nothing. We're under the opinion that they're leaving us here, this is it. So we start banging. The banging on the door starts annoying them, but starts annoying all the other kids within the home and on that land. So we're creating madness as soon as we land in there because everyone's hating on us because we're continuously kicking fuck out the door. Screws come in and that's it. We're just scrapping with men from an early age.
I mean, I did hear you talk in another interview about the abuse that there is in there. Is that very prevalent in the care system, or was that later on in your life?
In the care system, it was physical and psychological. So, for instance, my first prison sentence, I've landed in a place called Warrington House. It was a Borstal type institution for YOYs, all under the age of 16 or 18, 16. So I've landed there, and when I refer to psychological damage, if you were naughty in there, you got put in the segregation unit, which they just built. So I was naughty in there, so I got put in. It's my first time in prison. Got into a dispute with the hardest kids in the prison. Ended up scrapping. Ended up in the block. I'm in the block. I'm playing up in the block. How did they try to quieten down? There was one officer in particular. I forgot his name. But what he used to do, he used to bring his own stereo in. Now, if you can imagine this block, it's just like a single block with 8 cells this side, 8 cells that side, and a narrow corridor. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you'd have 16 inmates with all different conditions. Some needed to be in a mental hospital, you know, some needed to be in a drug hospital, and people like me were just needed disciplining. So we're all down there. Now this one officer, what they used to do first of all, he used to come in the doors at 6:30 in the morning. This is back then. They'd take your mattress out, they'd take your chair and your table out, and they'd replace it with a Bible. So you'd be sat in this cell with nothing but your bed and a Bible. When we all got frustrated because we were kids, we'd start kicking fuck out of the doors and that. So what they used to do, when we try and get asleep, this one particular officer would come in with his own stereo on, and he'd put opera music on. So he'd get his radio, put it in the landing, you know, bang on the plug on the landing, face it downwards from the top of the landing to it's only short, but it's loud when you're speaking in there, you know, because it's echoey, and then this opera music's on blasting, continuous, for hours. It was the worst, I can say it's the worst experience I've had in custody. Mm-hmm. I've been twisted up, I've been put in strip cells, I've been battered by screws, carried left, right, and you know, all the shit you get off the system. I've had, the worst experience was that in Warrington House, off that officer. And I seen the same officer when I was on remand in 2006 in Strange Ways as a PO. And I looked at him and went, you're a cunt, you. Because at that stage then, in 2007, I've read up on sort of like tactics, you know, psychological torture tactics, and that's one of them. They use that tactics in that prison where they put all the Taliban and stuff.
And is there no other staff, I mean, this is probably a really naive question, no other staff that come to your aid and say, you know, don't you think you need to switch that music off?
Well, no, see, what you've got to understand that them times, mate, you had the POA, you've still got them, actually, the Prison Officers Association, and basically that's why the prison system's fucked. So, the POA, as I was saying before, it's like, they're like the old police force, corrupt, taking backhanders left, right and centre, They still do that now, but you understand what I mean by the old police force to the new. The new's a lot cleaner and all that. Well, the POA back then behaved exactly like the police. They drank with the police on a Friday. Do you understand what I mean? So if the police put criminals in, they'd be targeted by the friends. That's the way the POA are. When they used to go in on you, there was no restraint procedure, there was no cameras involved, it was just in, body shots, broken wrists, broken fingers. That's the way the POA treated you. So when one of their officers had an allegation made against them, their officers' friends would target the individual, so they never really got any reprimanded for any sort of behaviour back then. None. It was all in-house. But to get round that, to get round the stuff, what they started doing then is, every time someone made a complaint, they brought these Samaritans or the Board of Visitors in. And for the first couple of years in the system, they were spot on. But eventually, you know, the ranks get saturated with ex-officers and all this, and before you know, it's the same narrative. So the Board of Visitors now, right, or the IBM they call them, or the IMB, in the prison system now, are pointless. They don't do nothing for you. Nothing. You can complain once, and they just don't do nothing for you.
So this is kind of like a sensitive subject. Within that thing you've had, you get the sort of verbal abuse, you get the physical abuse. Is sexual abuse prevalent within that care home system?
Yes.
Yeah. And the reason
I weren't abused.
No.
Well, I had my balls felt.
Right.
Which is abuse. In Dyson or by Tim. That was within the first month. I was getting like sexually grabbed by a man. But my abuse was outside of the care system.
And can I just say, when I'm asking something like this, because it is personal, I feel I can ask it because I have been a victim of sexual abuse myself. So, you know, it's a very delicate subject. So if you don't want to speak about it, don't speak about it, you know. But is it something that you experience? Yeah,
and it hurts me. So I don't really want to speak about it because
it's very deep.
Yeah, I'm still dealing with that shit now.
Yeah, as I am as well, because I had that within my family. So I do understand the sensitivity of that. So moving on in the care home system, how long were you there?
There for a few months.
Yeah. And then when you're back out, then you go into the prison system. When did you first go into the prison system? What was the age?
15.
15.
Just turned.
Yeah. Are you all right? Let me ask you that question. Are you sure?
Yeah.
What was the first sort of criminal activity that you were involved in?
Robbing cars. So we started robbing cars and then moved on to commercial burglaries, the likes of drinks cabins and Threshers, places like that sold electricity cards and cigarettes and spirits. So that's started tapping into that. Started going to jail a lot for commercial burglaries. Started getting involved in a bit of violence because we were brothers and we were well known. We had a lot of confrontation going on. Ended up in prison for my first sentence at 15 for a Section 20 wounding. That was in a kids club. I'm in this kids club. Some lads have came in looking for me. I've said Jerry's in the toilet. These are 18, I'm 15. They've gone in the toilet. I've followed them in the toilet with a Coke bottle and pink. It was the same club that I done that PJ and Duncan. Not the same night though.
No, do you want to tell us about that?
We're just in this kids club and then we've got everyone's buzzing, PJ and Dunks on. These two kids from London with caps on back to front and some baggy clothes, so they're coming on and they're miming. Where everyone's expecting a live show, so they come on, they're dancing around the stage, but they're miming, so it just goes off. Bottle right at them. Shut the show down.
You said in an interview that I saw you, that you said that there's really kind of no choice but to go down this kind of road if you've come from that background. Do you still think that? Could there be an alternative way that you could have gone? Could you have taken yourself out of that situation?
I don't know, it changes with age, doesn't it? You know, if you're a child and your parents are shit, you've absolutely got no choice. You've got no direction, you haven't got the right discipline, you haven't got the right mentality. You know, it is what it is. You're just flowing, you don't need to trust no one. The only people you've got round you think you can trust them, but you're proving wrong. You're proving wrong that you can't trust them.
How did you get into the kind of drug scenario?
Just sick of going to jail. For normal crimes, if you like. So look, we're the most notorious, but we're not making loads of money like all them drug dealers. Why? Because we're doing a few burgs, getting arrested for one and going to jail, or would break his jaw or cut him up, go to jail on remand and get acquitted. So eventually, anyone with a brain who's not thinking straight but thinking on the money thing is going to think, well, too much jail here, let's dive into the drug world. But
how easy is it to get
hard.
into it?
It's solid with us. We couldn't get into it unless we got into it ourselves. Basically, if you're not part of the group, you're not getting no soup. If that makes sense to you. So because in my area you had this group called the Farleys, and they were sort of dominating that small area, but also you had a fella called Tommy Gilday, and he was dominating the city. Now these Farleys were trying to challenge Gilday, do you understand what I mean? But I was part of the Gilday, and then the Gilday passed away, so I sort of got left to rot and all them hated me. So when it was time for us to start grafting and trying to make money through drugs, the normal process is to go to them. But because they hated us, they wouldn't give us an inch, they wouldn't give us nothing. So we had to rob them, start picking their grafters up, taking them away, tying them up, robbing them for their drugs, selling their drugs, getting money that way. Not dealing drugs yet. But then eventually we'd robbed too many. Now they're hating us extra now. They're proper hating us. We'd robbed too many of the grafters, just took the piss out and didn't give a fuck about the Farleys. You're all dickheads. That was the mentality, still is now. That was the mentality then, and nothing's changed. So when we've eventually robbed all them, the kid that was buying all the drugs off us, from some of them, the people we were robbing was his mates. He'd been dealing with them for 5 years, but the same kid, we'd rob him and go to his mate and go, yeah, there's the swag. So eventually there's no one else to rob, so we rang him. So I've got a parcel here, come and get it. As usual, normal process. Said the parcel was bigger, so he come with a lot more money. And then boom, spun him, took him back his house, rinsed him. And that's how we got into the life of drugs. From that rinsing, went and bought, someone went and bought a little parcel, and then there you go, it just flowed.
So how extreme is the kind of violence between the rival gangs? Are you is it something you're always looking out for, or how does it work?
Depends who the gangs are. Depends who the gangs are, which depends on the level of violence. Because in Liverpool you've got gangs that are complete dickheads that are shifting £1 million worth of drugs every week. But the dickheads, never done jail, never been in a sticky situation that can put their life at risk. Do you understand what I mean? But on the other hand, you've got groups of certified killers who's got killers on the books, you know, been in the city for decades. So their level of violence compared to theirs, they've only got to shout at them and they just go, okay. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's two groups. When you get two certified groups coming together, then you see the results, which is fatalities on the streets and families, houses getting bombed. That's when you've got two certified groups. Other than that, you'll hear a little tit for tat or a little thing. That's when they're not certified groups. There's no killers on board. They're not really there for whatever.
What's your kind of mindset when you're in the middle of all of that? I mean, it must be
Survival.
chaos, or is it? It's a survival, is it?
Survival mode, mate. You're born into that environment to survive. You know, we're in a house with 5 kids and a mum that's more interested in getting fucking drunk than feeding the kids. It's one of them households where it's first up, best dressed. You know, there's 5 kids there, but there's only one good pair of trainees. First 2 of them gets them. Along the way, there's a scrap. You can have one on and you're getting chinned. You know it. So that's the household we come from, survival of the fittest. And everyone seems to be on that track now, but they're on the wrong path, if you like, of survival.
Obviously, this sort of rivalry and everything else built up to that incident that has been well documented, and you ended up going to prison for 18 years. I mean, what is that like, that moment when the judge says, right, I mean, does he say it's 18 years, or what was it, life, was it?
Well, to me, mate, I was, without trying to, I'm not a big-headed, I'm not like justifying it or trying to come across like I'm this big fucking hitman or whatever, but I was very happy. I was very happy when I got sentenced by the judge, because for 2 years I'd be getting legal advice. You're getting 30 to 35 recommendation if you get found guilty, so I'm thinking, okay then. You know, and the type of person I am, I've been in a custodial sentence since the age of 12. I sort of half knew, you know, I'd sort of resigned myself mentally to the fact that, you know, this is who I am. I've been in a custodial setting since we're a kid, and I'm probably going to end up dying in a custodial setting, you know, so your brain and your mind are very, very powerful tools. Ask anyone with a bit of sense and they will tell you, this is your last form of defence, and this can get you through any adversity you're going through. It can get you through anything. So basically, I condition my mind. I'm doing a 30 rec now. Doesn't matter that I'm on remand for another year. I've already got my sentence in my head. So whatever comes now, if I get a 28, like a sick kid, I'll be buzzing. You know?
It's a result. Yeah.
Do you understand? You know, because I've been had in my head the 30, so if he gives me a 26 rec, although I'm never going to see the light of day again, I'll still be positive and happy about it because he shaved the 4 off. So, you know, so I think that's the mentality I got myself into at an early age. Expect the worst, anything less, you're buzzing. And that's the way my life is. That's the way I've always expected the worst from things. And if I am let down, I'm not let down as bad as I'm expecting. So I'm happy in every situation.
So that moment that you go through the door and they slam the cell shut, you're all right with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, it doesn't matter who you are. Every time you go to jail, it's a different experience. It's not the same old bang door. Why is it a different experience? Simple, because every time you go into jail and then you get out, your life is different. And you might be out for 6 or 7 months and you finally got your dough coming in and you finally got a little gaff and then everything's coming in and everything's coming sustainable, everything's becoming levelled out, and then you're back in jail. You come back out and you're on a different narrative again. It's a different path, a different way you're making money, a different way. You know what I mean? So the little sentences do more damage to an individual than the long one does.
What is the day? I mean, this is. I'm trying to speak for the ordinary member of the public. What is a day like in prison? I mean, are you on edge all day? What do you do? Are you always looking over your shoulder, or are you just comfortable after a while?
It's mad, mate. You know when something's wrong because you feel a vibe, you can feel the energy, you can feel a vibration on the land and something's not right. You're consistent. You become conditioned to having your guard up. You know, you can't be yourself. You develop a personality, you develop a character that you've never had in your life. But you know, you need that character within these walls, because if you don't have that character, you're a victim. So you can get kids who come in for a driving while banned, perhaps never committed an offence in their life, get put in jail for some daft offence. What are you putting him in jail for that for? He goes in there, nice, decent kid, clean-minded. He goes in there, within a month, he's got to put this persona on. I can have a fight. I've got to have the... You're looking at... You know, this attitude, you've got to have that attitude within the system, because if you haven't, you're becoming a target. Doing that daily when it's not you, and doing it month and then another month, it becomes normal for you. You're developing another personality, a different characteristics. So when you're released back into the street, you're not functioning the way you was. And it implements on everything. You might be looking at his girl the same way, or everything just changes for you.
So how much of the person that we see with Darren Gee on the web is the real you, or is it still partly this persona?
When you see me, people are trying to write me off. I'm hearing all the rumours. He's paranoid. His mental health's gone. He's ranting and raving at everyone. He's accusing people of this, that and the other. No one's doing anything to him. You've got to understand where I come from. I have got mental health issues. Look at the life I've just come out of. You know, I've had to strip myself back. I've had to realise who I was. I've had to find my identity again. I've had to go through all the traumatic experiences again. You know, that I've covered up. So people, have I done that publicly? Yeah. Have I had outbursts on camera? Damn right I have. Why? Because I'd rather sit in this room screaming at a camera, not harming the general public at all. I'm not going in the street to attack a criminal and harming the witnesses standing by. I'm sitting in my room, venting my anger at these individuals that are targeting me deliberately. Now, because you don't see these people targeting me deliberately doesn't mean they're not doing it. Because you see them still out and about doing their job as if they're being proud in the communities doesn't mean behind the doors they're not trolling and cyberbullying me to death. So when you see me coming out to certain individuals and saying, hang on a minute, rah, I'm doing that as a form of protection. No one else is protecting me. They're all running around labeling me a sex offender. They're all challenging me mental health. They're all challenging me integrity. They're all trying to, first and foremost, harm and damage the message of choose a life, not a knife. And that's all I'm doing, people. Since I got out of custody in 2016, I have done nothing but promote a message of choose a life, not a knife. All these rats and all this rumours across the internet and all this poisonous stuff that I've never wanted to be involved in, I've just ended up involved in it, and I've got to defend myself. I've got to defend myself. I don't care who it's against. If they're saying wrong about me, I'm going to defend myself. And if it sounds like I'm coming out and I'm losing the plot because I'm ranting about stuff you don't know about, you might think I'm talking shit. To me, it's making clear, perfect sense what's coming out of my mouth about these individuals.
I was going to ask you, is it easier being inside prison or out? Because you've had so many difficulties since you've come out, you know, accommodation, lack of support, you know, just feeding yourself. So tell us a bit about that. I mean, you come out and is there anybody there for you, or you just walk out the door?
You know what, depends what mindset you're in, mate. It depends what decisions you've made as an individual. It depends what you decide to do with your life. I decided to swerve the criminal life. I don't like what's going on in it. I didn't like what was going on in it. I didn't want to be in it in the first place. I lost my identity and became some notorious gangster. Didn't like being that individual. Within custody, they changed it round. I'm expecting this life to be well better. Why? Because I've made the right choices. But to be honest with you, to me, it's going to be. It's 10 times harder to live this life than what it is to be a criminal, simply because of the financial help.
Did you get any? I mean, were you like starving on the street, as it were?
No, when I first got out, I was okay. I was working for 6 months, I had a full-time job. I was still on licence while I'm working, I'm still on a tag while I'm working, I'm still in a hostel while I'm working. But because I got that job, it cut me out of any benefits help, any social benefit help, any help off the government. That was all cancelled out because I got a job. So I lost my job. Whilst I'm on my licence, everything's fine for me. I'm earning a living, everything's going fine. My licence is up. I lost my job, I couldn't pay me rent. I'm due eviction. Probation trying to breach me. So as soon as my licence over, went to my mum's. I'm promoting this message of choose a life, not a knife. A few people get a bit shook up, and then that's it. They try and kill me. Goes a bit scatty. They try and shoot me dead on my Mars step on the 17th, 2018. 17th of March 2018. Push some rat in hospital. But what that done for me is brought the incident from 2004 with Craig Barker on the 6th of April right back to the fold traumatically. Because if you think about it, when that shootings happened with Craig in April 2004, A month later we retaliated on David Regan, which is on the 18th of May. And then on the 20th of May I'm in custody. So there's been no grieving process. I haven't been, for the first year I'm screaming to go to a mental health hospital. I'm suicide. Walton want me to fucking hang myself basically. But I managed to get through it. I battled through them demons. I come out the other side. It was just messy, mate. It's just messy.
Am I right in thinking that since you've been out, and obviously it's very personal again, have you been suicidal?
Yeah.
And how did you work your way through that?
By myself, mate. The first time was to choose a life, not a knife one, weren't it? That's when I was on licence. That's how this message come around. That's what stopped me from slashing my wrist that day, was choose a life, not a knife. Every other time it's been choose a life, not a knife, but it's mainly been incidents of someone interjecting into my life at that moment of deep depression that pulls me out of it.
So it's help from other people that's got you through
It's always, although I battle it, and I'm battling it well, when I'm in them, for the last 6 months I've been getting deep. And I mean, deep to the point where I'm virtually killing myself, you're on it. But then someone, I don't like admitting that I like think about killing myself and that.
I mean, it's an
But
incredibly low place to go, isn't it? I mean, you can't go
it's
lower.
nasty, mate.
Yeah.
It's nasty. I'll never kill myself. And when people hear me say I'd rather run into a fucking load of bullets than kill myself, that's just the way I am. But it's hard, mate. It's hard to prevent myself from killing myself, if you know what I mean.
I mean, obviously people who've never suffered from depression like that may not understand the kind of the absolute depths that you go, but I mean, you sounds really harsh. I mean, you're thinking of hanging yourself in your room, or I mean, how bad is it? How close do you get?
It's normally a train with me, mate. That's it's water and train. Water and train with me, so when I get deep I start visiting places with water a lot. I start thinking mad stuff about, water. Sometimes it's the train. But
the great thing is that you've got through it, and you've now got a child. And what do you wish for your child?
I don't know what to wish for him, because I know he's not going to get it. So he's only going to get what he wants. It's pointless what I want for him. I want the world for him. I want everything that I've never had. Love, care, secure family. And I can't even do that for him at the moment now, with what's going on. So I'm in a mess when it comes to certain things, so...
Do you feel helpless in a way, because you do want all these things for your child, and then you can't, because the position that you've been put in, you can't
I can't be the dad I want to be, and it's so frustrating. I can't have my child here and stay in with me, because you can't have visitors, or you can't have children on the premises in case there's nonce living in here. So it is what it is. It's my own fault. I've got myself here. I'm on this path. There's a reason why I'm on this path, and I believe I'm gifted to deliver this message. And the only reason I'm not dead is because of the skies and the strength I receive from them skies. That's what's keeping me going here.
I really want to thank you for doing the interview. Before we go, one of the things that you have been doing is your artwork, which we can see around the wall, and I'm going to do a few shots of it soon. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, for months and months I've been waking up in the middle of the night around 3 o'clock, sweating. Anyone that knows me, I've spoken to them, sweating me back out. All my veins popping out, all my muscles tensed, as if I'd just done a circuit. But I hadn't. I've been asleep and woke up sharpish. This one time, a few months ago, 3 or 4 months ago actually, I woke up but remembered exactly what went on. This is the first work of art I've done, and what I'm trying to do is, I had this image, what I'd went through that night, stuck on my head, and when I'm explaining it to people, they're looking at me like I've lost the plot. That's probably why people tell me I lose the plot, but it was an experience like this. I'm on the bed, I've lifted up, like in that shape,
See this shape here?
Yeah.
Like a star shape. I'm like that. I've lifted up, come forward, went into a red tube of fire, or what looked like fire. I've gone into there, it's sucked me in. I'm going down there slow. When I get to this next tube, it sort of like sucks me in and spits me out the other side. So I'm hitting speeds now, my arms are back. This is so real. My arms are back. As I come to this one, similar to the one I've just gone through, I stop on the white wall. My body stops. As it stops, my body's this side, and whatever was in me comes out like a big cloud, giant, massive. As I'm watching him, after 10 seconds or so, another 5 or 6 big clouds of giants come out. One of them steps forward to the one of me, and then I wake up on my bed, like that, sweating. So I needed to get this image off my head. Since I've got that image off my head, I haven't stopped painting.
How did you interpret that dream?
What do you mean interpret it?
I mean, what
Well,
do you think it meant?
at that time, I was on the verge of throwing a message out, returning back to crime, just getting into Liverpool, pulling things out and going sick and seeing what comes of it.
So
But it sort of reinstilled, it sort of gave me fresh power. It took all the sort of stresses that I've been carrying for the previous 2 or 3 years, took all them off me. So for the first 4 months of that, my attitude, my positivity, everything was sweet, my life was moving forward. But as we're going along and I'm getting all this hate again, I can feel it weighing me down again, like I did previously.
Would you say that the painting that you're now doing is kind of like a therapy for you?
Yeah, it's therapy first and foremost, and it's pastime and therapy first and foremost. I've got a lot of time on my hands where I'm not working and stuff. But it's a way of bringing revenue in as well. You know, it's a way of earning legit revenue. So
these
as I said,
will be available.
Ignore the football ones. People have asked me to do them. That's the
Yes.
Rangers one. This is
Yes.
a Celtic one. That's the
Yes.
first one I've ever done.
Yes.
That's referring to some rat called One-Eyed Monster. He's irrelevant now.
Yeah.
You've got this here, which is sign language, and it's choose a life, not a knife. That's the L5 hand signal.
Yes.
It's all about love. This is all about the energy and balance. You move on to here. I don't know. This is just coming off my mind.
Yes. They're when I'm looking at them, they're very bright colours. So in a way, they're very positive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can see it. So if
Yeah.
you look at this is about my son. In war, it is not men, but the man that counts. That was Napoleon Bonaparte that said that in 1778 in the French Revolution.
Yes.
Quintus elementum means the fifth element. My new son's name is Quintus.
Ah, lovely.
So basically that's about him.
Yes.
This one is my best one.
Yes.
It's Kalnach. Choose a life, not a knife, UK. Choose a life, not a knife. But this is all symbols of balance.
Right.
These are all symbols of balance. That's the Latin word for balance. But basically, without balance in your life, it's going to be lopsided. It'll be full of hate, or it'll be full of poison, or it'll be too much of once. You need a balance of everything in your life.
Yeah. And it's amazing because you've had such a traumatic life, but you can put it in a painting, you know, about balance and all that. I mean, it's
Well,
fantastic.
this is what it's about, yeah. So
It's
this is where I am now. Since
Yeah.
that experience, I've
Yeah.
changed my whole perspective.
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved in all this podcast wars that
Yeah.
people drag me into.
Yeah.
But I'm a one-man band. I've got no networks monetising me or dealing with the comments. I'm getting a lot of trolling. I'm not being a victim or looking sympathy. It is what it is. I put out what I get back, so I'm happy taking it on the chin. This one here, this is probably, you know, this is 42 Grisdale Road. This is mine and Daniel's room. This is, that's me there, already beat up. So this is mine and Danny's room, the one where we used to get tied to the bed and that by him. This is my dad. That's his belt. I couldn't draw a belt because I'm not an artist. These are my first couple of paintings. And that's basically me and Danny just getting weighed in the bedroom.
That is tragic.
But that's virtually exactly the way the room is. I mean,
Really?
the wallpaper weren't there.
No.
It's all ripped off like this. That's referring to my brother Billy, who's now dead. He hung himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
So we move on, mate.
Yeah.
Move along here. Move along here onto this
Yeah.
one. This is one of my favourites too. So as you can see, it's all about the 97. It was 96 up until last year, till the final ones passed through. The man that suffered from that incident in Hillsborough right up to the present day. He's only just passed away.
Yes.
So now it's 7. Rest in peace, AD. I think his name is Anthony Devine or something like that. So this is mimicking that. You've got a Liverpool supporter. That should be a petrol can probably, but it's a spray cake pan. You got an Everton supporter with a spray cake pan. You got the police that side, you got the lad going. But basically, this is a picture of unity.
Yes.
Because for too long in our city, we've had Everton and Liverpool divided for too long. And just the way the authorities like it, in every city, they like it. Division. And that's how they do it, through football. This is me trying to say to Liverpool and Everton fans, we're all Scousers at the end of the day, and we've got a common cause, and that's the love of our city of Liverpool. So we need to be standing together on the real situations, like drug pollution. And then here, mate, I'm just experimenting.
Yeah.
So that was another Hillsborough one. This is more violence. Basically got the justice scales. On this side, you got the blood tipping into the barrel. The barrel's full of blood. Mm-hmm. It's got a tap here, and what it's doing, there's the date, 15th of the 4th, 1989. Mm-hmm. That's when Hillsborough was.
Yes.
This is the city, it's the police. That's the sixth angel. That's all to do with me personal thing. You've got the snakes and ladders. You've got number 10 Parliament Street. You've got 1981, which was the speech that Margaret Thatcher made in that purple dress.
Yeah, I remember that.
About the 41 Scousers. She said something very nasty about them.
Yeah.
This under here is underlying fire under the city. Under the belly of Liverpool City, you've got fire. Yeah. And it's been brewing for years and years and years, all seeking justice. And what this is here, it's an IED with a time on it, same time as the Hillsborough disaster. IED, if you don't know what it is, improvised explosive device.
Yes.
It's parked right outside Parliament with the words justice for the 96 here. Basically, if they don't get justice 10 years down the line, this is a possibility.
Yes.
Then you've got the sun on fire for obvious reasons. You've got snakes and ladders here because Parliament's full of snakes and ladders. We've got the Mersey up there with the ferry. We've got the headline of the Echo at the time. And down here we've got the Beatles, the iconic Beatles. And we've got the Thingy Road.
Yeah, that's Abbey Road.
Abbey Road, that's my take on it. Yeah. Why? Well, I've had the opinion that the Beatles were bloodsuckers.
Right.
If you know what I mean by world affairs.
Yes.
So, that's it. My most recent pictures.
Yes. That one there. That seems a very optimistic.
I don't know, it just come off my head. Yeah. This one. And then if you spin round.
Yeah.
That's my latest one I'm doing there, mate, yeah. I've done this yesterday, it's just come straight off the head. I don't know why it's come off the head, but I'm that type of artist. I'm finding that my creativity is fresh.
Yes.
Draw it on there and then just go with it. So you can see underneath the way I've drawn a certain image off the chest.
You start by drawing, yeah?
I started it by drawing it and then I'll go around it, but then as I've got onto the drawing, I've lost my flow and just been painting freehand.
Yeah.
See, so the drawing underneath, it's not even getting considered now.
No. So you're just going as you feel.
Yeah. And that's the best way, I think, because you're getting...
So can I ask to round this up? So will people be able to get these paintings if they want?
Well, the whole reason for me to... It wasn't at all financial until I sold... I've sold 3 pieces of art, 4 pieces of art for £500 a piece. Yeah. That's 2 to New Zealand and 2 around this country. It wasn't financial, it's always been therapeutic.
Yeah.
From the off to all the people that support me, I've told them straight I'm going to do 55 paintings.
Yes.
Once they're done.
Why 55?
It's the number 5. The number 5 is very relevant in my life. That's L5 alive. My kid was born in the 5th month. My 5th year out of prison.
Yeah, so
the number 5 and the number 5 angel is very relevant to me. If you don't understand what the number 5 angel represents, I'm one of them. Go and look at it.
Yeah.
Angel number 5, I represent them.
Yes.
If you see, well, that's what it is. If you can, I don't know where it's coming from. No. But as you say, it's colourful.
It is colourful.
It's bright.
Positive.
There's love arts in there.
Yeah. So
And
it is-
if that's a reflection of me mind, what have you got, mate? You've got a loving man who's kind and just wants to be bright.
yeah,
At the moment, I've got a lot of darkness trying to make me dark.
yeah, and that comes out in some of the other.
Well, you can see some of the traumatic experience seeping through my heart.
Yeah.
So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 20. So I've got another, I've done another 4 but sold them. So
Yeah.
basically I've got another 21 to do, and then I've reached that milestone. I've been mentioned that I can get them put into a
exhibition.
exhibition.
Yeah, it would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I don't know why they told me I need to take a photograph with them and fingerprint them.
Oh, oh, really? Yeah. In
So
case they're
I
recopies
need to, just in case.
to make them original. Yeah, totally original.
Well, we don't sell t-shirts and I've just got this printed in case.
So people,
Just
people.
Calnack UK.
I like that. That's really, it's simple. And
You don't need to buy them. It's not about buying them. You can simply go into a shop.
Yeah.
The only thing they ask you is to have the same colours. Go into a shop, pay £8 and get Calnack UK on it, spread the message. You don't need to come through me or anywhere else. Just go into any shop, Calnack UK printed on it.
Well, I think, Darren, I really appreciate you doing this interview because it shows another side to you that I think other people, maybe haven't seen and all that. And I think, the artwork and the way forward, I think most people wish you were the best and the way
Well,
forward.
it's all about this, mate. Let me get this in before you shut off.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is my new project, mate, and it's starting to go quite fine. The Real Crime Real podcast.
Yes.
Now, without certain individuals like Shinny Show, Decca Heggie, the wee man from Scotland, without them backing me and giving me some sort of financial support, this would never be happening.
It's a nice setup. Yeah.
It's a nice setup, it's all going to plan. I'm a one-man band like I've always been from the off. I'm trying to get some sort of network around me that understand that I just need a network who's good at computers and I'm flying.
Yeah.
Choose a life, not a knife. Next year, that's where I'm at again. Next year, to enjoying life with my son and getting this message out there to change the mind of the youth, change the mind of the communities, the parents, the aunties, the nanas. Don't sit back and let this poison keep on drenching our communities. What poison, you ask? Drugs and the people that distribute it. They're the main concern upon our streets and within our communities. Trust me on that. We address that. Our kids have a better future. We can only address it united. Simple as that.